My name is Asha Burkus. I'm a poet and a teaching artist here in Tacoma, and I am very honored to be with you today to help support these amazing students at the 2025 Washington State Poetry Out Loud Finals Competition. It's an exciting day. Yay! Poetry Out Loud is a program sponsored by the National Endowment of the Arts and the Poetry Foundation, which is produced here in our state by the Washington State Arts Commission, or ArtsWA. The program works kind of like spelling bees, so students are introduced to the program at the classroom level, and participate in the classroom competition, and the school-wide competitions, and then one of 4 regionals, and then state, which we are at today. And then from state, our winner here today will go on to the national competition in Washington, D.C., which is very exciting. And that will begin on May 5th. Before we get any further with our introductions, I would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the POL people, past and present, where they make their home and speak the Lushootseed language. We honor and express our gratitude for the land itself, and we encourage each of you to learn about the land, legacies, and stories of Indigenous communities who have called the Pacific Northwest home since time immemorial. This school year marks the 20th anniversary of Poetry Out Loud. Great. In 2004, the Poetry Foundation and the National Endowment for the Arts developed the pilot program of a first-of-its-kind national poetry recitation program for high school students, and then Poetry Out Loud was launched the next school year in 2005. Since then, the program has reached over 4.4 million students, 81,000 teachers from 20,000 schools across the nation, which is pretty incredible. Today, we get to celebrate literature and the power of language as presented by 11 Washington students. They are from grades 9 through 12 and come from a wide variety of schools all over the state. ArtsWA has invited a diverse group of artists and educators to score today's recitations. You can read more about each of them in the program booklet. And so I am pleased to introduce those outstanding individuals serving as Poetry Out Loud State Finals judges. Judges, if you would please stand when I call your name. Michelle Avitia from ArtsWA's Art and Public Places program. Janae Sanchez, an actor, a director, and teaching coach. Jasmine Mahmood, Washington State Arts Commissioner. Aileen Cowan Vokes, poet, essayist, and education specialist. And Katie Taylor, Director of Secondary Education at the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction. Thank you so much, judges. These judges will score recitations using the National Poetry Out Loud evaluation criteria, and they score with great care. Each poem must be recited exactly how it is written by the poet. An additional judge will be scoring today's recitation for accuracy, word by word. I am pleased to welcome Elizabeth Hallberg from Governor John R. Rogers High School, who will be Thank you. Thank you to all of these judges for your support and for all that you do in the world of arts and education. We appreciate you. A few housekeeping things. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. Anything that rings or beeps or could interrupt a recitation, check them now. Put them away. I'll wait. Thank you. And we are also very pleased to welcome back the Kareem Candy World Orchestra, providing live music throughout today's program. Kareem and Greg were touring last year, and they were very missed, and their gift of live jazz really just makes this event so special. So welcome back. Please do not take any photos or videos during this event, especially during the recitations. Clicking and flashing can be quite disruptive to students and judges, But never fear, we have an incredible professional photographer with us today, POL Virtual. Hi, Pavel.
Hi, Paul.
So all of the participating students and families will have access to the photos in the coming weeks. Every student will get photos taken of their recitations. There will be a point toward the end of the program after the recitation is done that it will be okay to take photos, and I'll tell you that. So we'll let you know. But until then, we are in good hands. Paul can handle it. For those of you who did not get a program booklet in the lobby, there is a QR code by the door that you can scan, or you can go to www.arts.wa.gov/poetry-out-loud and look for a digital program. So, what does judging a Poetry Out Loud recitation involve? The judges will evaluate each recitation using the criteria established by the Poetry Out Loud program. This same five-part criteria is used at the classroom level all the way up to national finals. So the categories are physical presence, voice and articulation, interpretation, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. Each of these criteria areas is explained in detail at poetryoutloud.org. In today's program, there will be 3 rounds. All the recitations you will hear are poems selected from the Poetry Out Loud anthology, which includes over 1,100 classic and contemporary poems. All the students will recite 1 poem for each of the first 2 rounds. And in the second round, we'll announce the 3 finalists who will move on to the final round. One of those students will become this year's Washington State Poetry Out Loud champion. A special note to our audience. Sorry, no live stream. My apologies. But yeah, not every poem would have been able to be played with live stream, so the video. It is my pleasure to introduce the 2025 Washington State Regional Champions participating in today's finals competitions. Students, as I call your name, please join me on the stage. We have Luella Breivik of North Central High School in Spokane. Sherry Green of Peninsula High School in Gig Harbor. Sydney Frost from Mount Spokane High School in Meade. Isabella Jennings from East Valley High School in Yakima. Thomas Lorino from East Lake High School in Swinomish. Sidra Marshall from Anacortes High School in Anacortes. Nasha Martinez representing POL Virtual. Nasha lives in Kingston. Luis Mata from River Ridge High School in Lacey. Elizabeth McAleer from Battleground High School in Battleground. Orlo Parkinson from Liberty Bell High School in Winthrop. And Brianna Smith from Ellensburg High School in Ellensburg. Congratulations to all these students and their Poetry Out Loud achievements. Let's give them another round. All right, friends, you can take your seats once more. All right, we've gotten through everything we need to get through to begin. It's time for poetry. We'll begin round 1. For this first round, students will be reciting in alphabetical order by last name from A to Z. After each recitation, our judges will need a few moments to complete their evaluation process. So Karine and Ray will play us some lovely music. And I might even have a couple of fun facts about poetry for them. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right, students, are you ready?
Yeah.
You got this. Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right, and now for our first recitation of the day, please welcome back Luella Frederick.
Miss You. Would like to grab that chilled tofu we love. By Gabrielle Talbot Caresi. Do not care if you bring only your light body. Would just be so happy to sit at the table and talk about the menu. Miss You. Wish we could bet which chilies they'll put on the coops of tofu. Our favorite. Sometimes green, sometimes red. Roasted we always thought, but so cold and fresh. How did they do it? Wish you could be here to talk about it like it was so important. Wish you could. Watched it on the screens as I was walking, as I was cooking. To get out of the hospital. Can't bring myself to order our dish and eat it in the car. Miss you laughing? Miss you coming in from the cold or one too many meetings? Laughing. I'll order already. I'll order 7 helpings. Some dumplings, those cold yam noodles that you like. You can come in your light body, or skeleton, or be invisible. I don't even care. No, you have a long way to travel. No, I don't even know if it's long at all. Wish you could tell me what you're reading, if you're reading. Miss you. I'm at the table in the back.
Mentioned that Poetry Out Loud happens in every state in the country, as well as several of our U.S. territories. In fact, today there are 10 other final competitions in the process. In Arizona, Georgia, Kansas, Montana, North Carolina, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Carolina, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. 21 states have already named their state champions, and all 53 of those state and jurisdictional champions will meet each other at the national finals in Washington, D.C. on May 5th through 7th. Next up to the stage, we have Shay Dooley.
We Wear the Mask by Paul Lawrence Dunbar. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts, we smile and mouth with myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but oh, great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh, the clay is vile beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask.
If you're interested in any of the lives of the poets whose work is being recited today, you can find out information on the Poetry Out Loud website, poetryoutloud.org. And now, welcome to the stage, Sydney Frost.
Siren Song by Margaret Atwood. This is the one song everyone would like to learn. The song that is irresistible. The song that forces men to leap overboard in squadrons, even though they see the beached skulls. The song nobody knows, because anyone who has heard it is dead, and the others can't remember. Shall I tell you the secret? And if I do, will you get me out of this birdsuit? I don't enjoy it here, squatting on this island looking picturesque and mythical with these two feathery maniacs. I don't enjoy singing this trio, fatal and valuable. I will tell the secret to you only, to you. Come closer. This song is a cry for help. Help me, only you can. You are unique at last. Alas, it is a boring song, but it works every time.
And now we'll hear from Isabella Jennings.
Thoughtless Cruelty by Charles Lamb. There, Robert, you have killed that fly. And should you 1,000 ages try the life you've taken to supply, you could not do it. You surely must have been devoid of thought and sense to have destroyed a thing which no way you annoyed. You'll one day rue it. 'Twas but a fly, perhaps you'll say, that's born in April, dies in May, that does but just learn to display his wings one minute, and in the next, vanish quite. A bird devours it in his flight, or come a cold blast in the night. There's no breath in it. The bird but seeks his proper food, and Providence, whose power endued that fly with life, when it thinks good, may justly take it. But you have no excuses for it. A life by nature made so short, less reason is that you, for sport, should shorter make it. A fly, little thing you rate, but Robert, do not estimate creatures pain by small or great. The greatest being can have but fibers, nerves, and flesh, and these the smallest ones possess, although their frame and structure less escape our seeing.
Please welcome Thomas Lorino. Next up, we have Sidra Marshall.
Mimesis by Fadi Judah. My daughter wouldn't hurt a spider that had nested between her bicycle handles. For 2 weeks she waited until it left of its own accord. If you tear down the web, I said, it will simply know this isn't a place to call home. refugees. Isn't it?
Next, we have Nasha Martinez.
Green Light Go by Emi Perez. To be a disco ball dangling in a storefront window in the sun with a cage on it. To be 2 and 3 disco balls downtown McAllen. Spangles of sun and water that grew tangerine skins late February. Pink bottle brush nostrils, buff-bellied hummingbirds. To be mirrors and hexagonal combs, Mexican honey wasps, larvae, paper, wax. To make geometry without vocabulary. To be live music. Take off your jacket, girl, wear your tank top. It's 90 degrees. To be a green light go downtown Corpus after cars and trucks zooming on beach sand before hot tubs. To be an orange sun driving from Anzaldua's grave. To be a cactus bloom fuchsia, Apuntia, Laguna Atascosa, Laguna Madre. To be a watering hole, a mud chimney air vent for crawdad water tunnels. To be a silver lizard run over by tires, a swatch of river on asphalt. To be a bolt loosened from the border wall. To be a peso falling out of the border crossing's revolving slot. To be a Coke bottle dove, a Mexican Coca-Cola, a cooing quorum of loteria cards signing a resolution. To be a goose perched on top of an abandoned sink in a yard in a town that fords the river. To be the woman stretched on her beloved's grave, returned after decades. To be a kid in juvie, to be her guardian, the judge, the PO. To be the letters she writes, the words that matter, more than food, almost as much as music, and more than makeup. Nearly sun seen through the mandatory skylight, imagined by the control room monitor. To be El Shalan, the last hand-drawn ferry on the river, its ropes pulled by pilots. To be a passenger, almost on the other side.
Please welcome Luis Mata.
We Lived Happily During the War by Ilya Kaminsky. And when they bombed other people's houses, we protested, but not enough. We opposed them, but not enough. I was in my bed. Around my bed, America was falling. Invisible house by invisible house by invisible house. I took a chair outside and watched the sun. In the 6th month of a disastrous reign, in the house of money, in the street of money, in the city of money, in the country of money, our great country of money. We, forgive us, lived happily during the war. Thank you.
We were almost certain they were. We spoke of this when we spoke, if we spoke, on our Zoom screens or in the backyard with our pod folk. Dang, to hear those birds, don't they sound loud? We shouted to the neighbor. And, from behind her mask, she agreed. The birds are louder this spring, this summer. I've never heard such loud birds. Listen to them sing. But the birds aren't singing louder. In fact, the opposite. Ornithologists have reported lowered decibel levels of bird song. In the absence of noise pollution, our planes overhead, our cars rushing past with their motors and horns, our bars leaking music onto the street corners. The birds don't need to shout. So why are we hearing bird song now when it is quieter? Because we need it more. Poetry in the pandemic, bird song that was there all along.
Our next student is Orlo Parkinson.
Weighing In by Rena P. Espaillat. What the scale tells you is how much the earth has missed you, body. How it wants you back again after you leave it to go forth into the light. Do you remember how earth hardly noticed you then? Others would rock you in their arms, warm in the flow that fed you, coaxed you upright. Then earth began to claim you with spots and fevers, began to lick at you with a bruised knee, a bloody shin, and finally to stoke you, body, drumming intimate coded messages through music you dance to unawares there in your dreaming, and your poems, and your obedient blood. Body, how useful you became. How lucky. Heavy with news and breakage, rich and sad. Sometimes imagining that greedy zero you must have been. That promising, empty sack of possibilities, never to come tomorrow. But look at you now, body. Soft old shoe that love wears when it's stirring. Look down. Look how earth wants what you weigh, needs what you know.
For our final recitation in round one, Brianna Smith.
Y2K by Therese Lloyd. When I was in despair, the dark days when they actually used such terms, I noticed the behavior of animals. Sleep when tired, eat when hungry. That made a lot of sense to me. And yet, I felt different. I felt my humanness too much. No fly ever wonders whether it should make lots and lots of maggots. It gives birth on amount of cat food, or inside the rubbish bin. As far as I know, it's not worried about overpopulation or sort of environment its kids will grow up in. My humanness sees me in an art gallery, watching others, watching walls. My humanness gives me dark thoughts of cruel behavior. You were in the States, a visa glitch, and there you remain. Like Star Trek, I talk to you on screen. Your face is half a second out of sync with your speech. I'm in the future. My Tuesday's already over, and I want to tell you all about it to prove my superiority. That lovely conceit of time that saw people travel from all over the world to be in Gisborne for the first sunrise of the new millennium. Remember how we all thought the sewer pipes would burst and the criminals would escape? Or something like that. Y2K packs sent to every household because no one knew for certain what the numbers 2,000 really meant. Somewhere, people, important people, cowered in bunkers, fearing the worst.
Somebody's standing beside that poor girl.
Welcome back, everyone. You had your phones on during intermission. Just a quick reminder to turn them off again. I'll do it with you. Do that as well. You sure? They're on? Okay, cool. Thank you. Before we begin round two, we are pleased to welcome a guest this afternoon from the Seattle Arts and Lectures Youth Poetry Fellowship Program. Janae is the current Seattle Youth Poet Laureate. Janae writes to champion the inherent beauty of scientific narratives and is inclined toward free-verse poetry and creative prose. She is a junior at Tesla STEM High School, the chair of the Redmond Teen Advisory Board, and a second-year member of the Seattle Youth Poetry Fellowship. When not writing, she can be found doing endless amounts of homework, overanalyzing Taylor Swift songs, and adding to her forever-growing book collection. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Janae Liu.
Hello, and good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me at your Val, and today I will be reciting an original poem titled Too Good. September 14th, 2024. I am 17 years old and I wait at a bus stop balancing plastic grocery bags in my arms. A man approaches me, a bottle in his hand, baby on his lips. When he yells, I do not protest. When he grabs my arm, I pull away and say nothing. Hours later, I am huddled in the corner of my room, sobbing in a way that cannot be fixed, and I find myself asking the same question once again. Should I have said something? Could I have said something? I shout about women and power and women's empowerment, but at times like this, I am powerless, and I am guilty of keeping my voice hidden until it is safe for me to use, like in poetry slams, English class, and midwinter street marches. Because I am too good. Too good at short responses and tight-lipped smiles. Too good at yelling fire instead of help. Too good at calculating the angle of my gaze and the stillness of my body to maximize potential for survival. Too good at melting into the storefront behind me. Too good at playing the role of prey in this Nat Geo special. And when he is close enough that I can see the hunger in his eyes, teeth bared, summer sweat clammy hands. Too good at shallow breathing, feeling my rapid heart beating. Too good at being afraid. And I guess I will be too good at teaching my daughter how to play Russian roulette with her body each time she steps out of the house. I will be too good at telling her that the things she loves the most are actually the most dangerous of all, at warning her that night and solitude and her body are victims of entropy. Someday they will be taken from her and never given back, and I will be too good at apologizing to her for not finding a cure to this hereditary disease, the kind of terror that burns you from the inside and a cure you have to exhale in pieces slowly, slowly, slowly. September 14th, 2024. I'm 17 years old, and I am tired of being too good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janae, for sharing your work with us. We all appreciate you being here with us. Let's give another round of applause. All right, friends, it's time for round two. We will hear our students recite their second poem. In this round, we will still be going in alphabetical order, but we'll be starting at the middle of the alphabet, M to Z, and then loop back around and do A through F. And at the end of this round, we'll find out who goes on to round three. To start off round two, we will welcome back to the stage Sidra Marshall.
Invisible Children by Mariana Llanos. Invisible children fall through the cracks of the system like Alice in the rabbit hole. But these children won't find an eat me cake or a drink me bottle. They won't wake up on the lap of a loving sister. They'll open their eyes on the hand of a monster called negligence, who will poke them with its sharp teeth and bait them with its heartless laughter like a wild thing in a wild rumpus. But the children won't awake to the smell of a warm supper, nor will they find a purple crayon to draw an escape door or a window. Instead, they'll make a mirror of a murky puddle on the city street, which won't tell them they're beautiful. But it'll show their scars as invisible to others as these children are.
Next up, Nasha Martinez.
The World is Too Much with Us by William Wordsworth. The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. The sea that bears her bosom to the moon. The winds that will be howling at all hours and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not. Great God, I'd rather be a pagan, suckled in a creed outworn, so might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn, have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn. Thank you.
Please welcome Luis Mata. Welcome back to the stage, Elizabeth McAleer.
Listening in Deep Space by Diane Teal. We've always been out looking for answers, telling stories about ourselves, searching for connection, choosing to send out Stravinsky and whale song, which, in translation, might very well be our undoing instead of a welcome. We launched satellites, probes, telescopes, unfolding like origami, navigating geomagnetic storms, major disruptions, rovers with spirit and perseverance, mapping the unknown. We listen through large arrays adjusted eagerly to hear the news that we are not alone. Considering the history at home, in houses, across continents, oceans, even in quests armed with good intentions. What one seeker has done to another, what will we do when we find each other?
Our next student is Orlo Parkinson.
Istanbul, 1983, by Sheila Black. In the Frozen Square, the student asks me if I will sell him the books from my backpack. He hides them under his winter coat. Steam rises from the whole wheat rolls we break open at the breakfast table. We drink hot apple tea and pronounce the skyline charming. In a jail, a man counts the visible bones and recounts them in the blaze of morning. To turn a self to light proves painful. Each piece must be dissected in turn. You pass through every feeling imaginable. So many you might make a dictionary. Dread to disgust, delight to degradation. The prisoner remembers wanting only to read as if in a fever, running fingers over pyramids of words as if he might translate himself from this life to a more vivid existence, in which he cuts open the pages with a knife in plain sight of everyone, like a man eating meat and potatoes at the dinner table. Not that world. This one, where blue light and sharpened files, where identikit and stamps on passports, where the book in his backpack is a crime. And I have sold him down the river for ideas I barely value. The volumes flung carelessly across my hotel room, while he picks mushrooms on the edge of dread. Pallid ghosts of what won't speak or be spoken. Or where I remember what it is to be present in the world and I turn away, unable to bear it. So much light and dread. So much in the darkness growing, or simply how hard to ever remain in place.
And now, Brianna Smith.
Pastoral Dialogue by Anne Kilmer. Remember, when you love, from that same hour, your peace you put into your lover's power. From that same hour, from him you laws receive, and as he shall ordain you joy or grieve, hope, fear, laugh, weep, reason aloof to stand, disabled both to act and to command. Oh, cruel fetters, rather wish to feel on your soft limbs the galling weight of steel, rather to bloody wounds oppose your breast. No ill by which the body can be pressed will you so sensible a torment find as shackles on your captived mind. The mind from heaven its high descent did draw, and brooks uneasily any other law than from what reason dictated shall be. Reason, a kind of innate deity, which can only adapt to every soul a yoke so fit and light that the control all liberty excels. So sweet a sway, the same 'tis to be happy, and to obey commands so wise, and with rewards so dressed, that the according soul replies, I'm blessed.
Welcome back, Luella Brevin.
The poem you've been waiting for, by Tartia Faizullah. I saw then the white-eyed man leaning in to see if I was ready yet to go where he has been waiting to take me. I saw then the gnawing sounds my faith has been making, and I saw too that the shape it sings in is the color of cast iron mountains. I drove so long to find, I forgot I had been looking for them. For the you I once knew, and the you that was born waiting for me to find you. I have been twisting and turning across these lifetimes, where forgetting me is what you do, so you don't have to look at yourself. I saw that I would drown in a creek, carved out of a field, our incarnations, forged the first path through to those mountains. I invited you to stroll with me there again, to pause and sprawl in the grass, while I read to you the poem you hadn't known you'd been waiting to hear. I read until you finally slept, and all your jagged syntaxes softened into rest. You're always driving so far from me, towards the me I worry without you is eternity. I lay there, awake, keeping watch while you snored. I waited, as I always seem to, for you to wake up and come back to me.
Next to the stage, we have Shay Dooley. Sydney Frost. Next, we have Isabella Jennings.
Another One of the World's Liars by Moja Cobb. I am just another one of the world's liars. Believe me, I have a few charms, worn out peddlers' trinkets, with grand names like beauty, friendship, truth, passion. This one's a real item. Sometimes I even buy it myself. Love, check my record. Odds are not in your favor that I won't sell out my goods, bolt by night, deny you 3 times before the cock is crowed. Consider this fair warning. Never fall for my spiel. If you do, you end up with a huge bill for damage done. Never forgive me.
And for our final recitation of round 2, please welcome Thomas Lorino.
The Season of Phantasmal Peace by Derek Walcott. Then, all the nations of birds lifted together the huge net of the shadows of this earth. In multitudinous dialects, twittering tongues, stitching and crossing it, they lifted up the shadows of long pines down trackless slopes, the shadows of glass-faced towers down evening streets, the shadow of a frail plant on a city sill. The net rising soundless as night, the birds' cries soundless, until there was no longer dusk or season, decline or weather. Only this passage of phantasmal light, that not the narrowest shadow dared to sever. And men could not see, looking up, what the wild geese drew, what the ospreys trailed behind them in silvery ropes that flashed in the icy sunlight. They could not hear battalions of starlings waging peaceful cries, bearing the net higher, covering this world like the vines of an orchard, or a mother drawing the trembling gauze over the trembling eyes of a child fluttering to sleep. It was the light that you will see at evening on the side of a hill in yellow October, and no one hearing knew what change had brought into the raven's cawing, the killdeer's screech, the ember circling choof, such an immense, soundless, and high concern for the fields and cities where the birds belong. Except it was their seasonal passing. Love made seasonless, or from the high privilege of their birth, something brighter than pity for the wingless ones below them, who shared dark holes in windows and in houses, and higher they lifted the net, above all, with soundless voices, above all change, betrayals of falling suns, and this season lasted one moment, like the pause between dusk and darkness, between fury and peace. But for such as our earth is now, it lasted long.
We are all excited to applaud and cheer on those impressive students today. They are 11 out of 8,000 students statewide who participated in this program this year. And we like to say that the real magic of Poetry Out Loud happens at that classroom level with all 8,000 students. So here to share a bit of what that magic means to students of all levels of achievement in this year's Washington Poetry Out Loud. Here is Washington Poetry Out Loud's teacher liaison, Carolyn Gilman.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Gilman. I'm so honored to be here celebrating 20 years of Poetry Out Loud with you. I've been teaching Poetry Out Loud for 17 years, which is maybe as long or longer than many of these amazing 7 students we've heard today of their life. In that time, I've heard possibly 2,500 of my own students and hundreds more of my colleague students recite poems they've chosen on their own and taken into themselves to present to us on stage. Thousands of poetry recitations. It's a lot. Exposing me to so many poems and inspiring me to keep writing poetry all those years. Poetry Out Loud makes lovers of poetry and inspires writers of poetry. It doesn't ask students to explain a metaphor or pinpoint a theme. Poetry Out Loud asks students to select someone's whole piece of art and take it into themselves. The first time I was here at the Washington State Poetry Out Loud competition was in March of 2009, and our inaugural state poet laureate, the captivating Sam Green, spoke to us, the parents, friends, teachers, and students in the audience, about the impact of memorizing a poem. He asked us how many of us had ever learned a poem by heart. He spoke about taking a poem into your heart, and how that poem, that whole piece of someone else's art, becomes a part of us, a part of our hearts. Poetry Out Loud brings poetry into kids' lives in a way that allows them to absorb the language without having to share their deepest, innermost thoughts. It allows kids to find a poem that speaks to them and allows them to speak to us, their friends, parents, teachers, and fellow students through that poem. Every year I hear familiar poems that I love, poems that I've taken into my heart. Whose woods these are? I think I know. This house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. And every year I hear poems I've never heard before. Poems and performances that captivate me and make me think about the world. At the end of this program, one of these 11 amazing young people will be awarded the title of Washington State Poetry Out Loud champion. But Poetry Out Loud is not about winning. It's about witnessing. At our Olympia High School Poetry Out Loud competition this past January, I saw a student perform the poem, The Delight Song of Sosai Tali by N. Scott Momaday. This poem is a list of images beginning, I am a feather on the bright sky, and the blue horse that runs on the plain, and ends with the refrain, you see, I am alive. I am alive. This student's performance was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It changed the air in the room. It shook me, made me speechless. I had to compose myself to introduce the next student in the program. This recitation, this student's interpretation of the poem with nothing but their voice and their body to convey it to us, brought the whole of the audience to a place of wonder and awe. We were impacted. And I think we've all been feeling a little bit of that throughout these last couple hours today. That student did not win that day, they didn't go to the regional competition, and they aren't among the 11 amazing young people performing for us today. But they hit every one of us there on that January afternoon with the power of their ability to take this poet's outstanding creation, someone they've never met and share nothing in common with, to take it into their heart and put it out into the world. This is what Poetry Out Loud is. It's taking someone's words and letting students present them for parents, friends, teachers, other students, and lovers of the arts. It lets kids speak their emotions, their anxieties, their wonder at the world through the words of poets from throughout the centuries. Recitations span time, identity, race, geography, and lived experience. Every year I hear Longfellow's poem, The Tide Rises, the Tide Falls. And it does. It always will. At the end of this program, one of these amazing young people is going to win, but they all will have affected all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Washington State Arts Commission's Executive Director, Carolyn Hanan.
Thank you, Asha. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, everybody. Well, the Poetry Out Loud Final is unquestionably one of my favorite events of the year. So thank you to Tacoma Little Theatre and all their staff for continuing to host us and providing such a great home for this annual event. So as we celebrate the achievements of these inspiring young people today, and we acknowledge 20 years of Poetry Out Loud, I'd like to echo the Poetry Foundation President and CEO, Michelle Boone, who said, I want to underscore how special Poetry Out Loud is as a platform for expression and learning for our nation's youth. Participants go beyond developing an appreciation for poetry. They discover how it can be a powerful tool for building compassion and empathy, self-reflection, and finding meaning in the world. Well, I couldn't agree more with Michelle, and I'm confident everyone in this audience, and watching at home, if they were and when they will be, now feels the same. As you have already experienced today, the talent and passion of these outstanding young folk and the students statewide that they represent is nothing short of hopeful and inspiring. So our mission at the Washington State Arts Commission, we're also known as ArtsWA, is to be a catalyst for the arts, advancing the role of the arts and creativity in the lives of individuals and communities throughout the state. Our work includes art in public places, grants to organizations, creative district certification, arts in education, the wellness arts and the military programs, the Washington State Poet Laureate program, the Governor's Arts and Heritage Awards, our folk and traditional arts program, and our Tribal Cultural Affairs program, which is the first of its kind in the nation to support tribal communities statewide as they expand, enhance, and create space for art and culture and better access to the state's creative economy. The work that we do is made possible by funding from the state legislature, thank you very much, and the National Endowment for the Arts. As executive director, much of what I do is to help people understand the value of the agency's work and the importance of investing in the arts and the creative economy. And this investment, of course, extends to arts education. To me, arts education is one of the most important investments we can make. And to see its impact, you need only to watch the outstanding dedication, courage, and artistry from the youth up here on this stage. It's also a pleasure to watch how Poetry Out Loud engages with other youth-empowering Washington State programs such as Seattle Arts and Lectures, Tacoma's own Right 253, and many more. And in many ways, it mirrors ArtsWA's agency-wide strategy to seek out innovative partnerships to support and strengthen Washington's diverse cultural activities. Developing relationships with tribal nations, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Department of Commerce, the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, the Department of Health, and a growing list of other public and non-profit organizations has allowed ArtsWA to expand and to deepen our impact. So in a few moments, our MC, Asha Burks, will announce the top scoring students who will advance to the third and final round of this competition. And then one of them will become the 2025 Poetry Out Loud Washington State Champion. And that person, as you've heard, will represent over 8,000 students who have participated in this year's Washington Poetry Out Loud program. And they, of course, will appear at the national competition in Washington, D.C. in May, and I hope to be there myself. So, congratulations to all of our students today. And thank you to everybody who has encouraged and supported these 11 regional champions. So I invite you all to join me in a round of applause for the parents and grandparents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, whoever you might be. You all made it possible for these young people to be here today. So thank you for supporting these incredible young people. Round of applause. And thank you, students, for sharing your deep appreciation for this beautiful tradition of poetry. You show so clearly how poetry, whether written by those long gone or by more contemporary voices, continues to convey power, meaning, and emotional resonance. Thank you for inspiring us all.
Before we announce our finalists, we want to honor all 11 of our regional champions competing in today's state final. Carolyn, Hanan, and I are now going to be joined on the stage by ArtsWA's Art and Education Project Manager, Alexis Sarah. And families and friends, you are okay to take photos during this presentation section. So whip out those cameras if you want. Students, if you could please join me on the stage now. All right, let's give these amazing students another round of applause. Today we have a certificate and a gift bag with various goodies inside. From Spokane, Luella Brevick. From Gig Harbor, Shay Dewey. From Meade, Sydney Frost. From Yakima, Isabella Jennings. From Sammamish, Thomas Lorino. From Anacortes, Sidra Marshall. From Kingston, Nasha Martinez. From Lacey, Luis Mata. From Battleground, Elizabeth McAleer. From Twisp, Orlo Parkinson. And from Ellensburg, Brianna Smith. Thank you so much to all of you. No matter who goes on to round 3, you all did such an incredible job and really gave us that unnameable feeling that poetry gives us. So thank you so much for that gift today. You are all amazing. Let's give them one more round of applause. I do think now is time to announce our 3 finalists. They are not in scoring order, and they are not in alphabetical order, just random. If I call your names, students, please step forward and stay standing for it. Everyone, here are our finalists for this year's Poetry Out Loud competition. Elizabeth McAleer. Sydney Frost. And Nasha Martinez. Thank you so much, everyone, and congratulations to our 3 finalists. Finalists, you can take a short break now, and please return to your seats in about 10 minutes, and we will all come back together in 15 minutes for our final round. Thank you so much again to everyone. everyone. Before we begin round 3, just another reminder to make sure your phones are off. Any other electronics, please double check. And it is my pleasure to begin the final round of our competition today by introducing Elizabeth McAleer.
Ships That Pass in the Night by Paul Dunbar. Out in the sky, the great dark clouds are massing. I look far out into the pregnant night, where I can hear a solemn booming gun and catch the gleaming of a random light that tells me that the ship I seek is passing, passing. My tearful eyes, my soul's deep hurt are blasting, for I would hail and check that ship of ships. I stretch my hands, imploring, cry aloud. My voice falls dead, a foot from mine own lips, and but its ghost doth reach that vessel. Passing, passing. O earth, O sky, O ocean, both surpassing. O heart of mine, O soul that dreads the dark, is there no hope for me? Is there no way that I may sight and check that speeding bark, which, out of sight and sound, is passing, passing?
Our next recitation will be from Sydney Frost.
No, I wasn't meant to love and be loved, by Mirza Asadullah Khan Khalid, translated by Vijay Seshadri. No. I wasn't meant to love and be loved. If I'd lived longer, I would have waited longer. Knowing you are faithless keeps me alive and hungry. Knowing you faithful would kill me with joy. Delicate are you, and your vows are delicate too. So easily do they break. You are a laconic marksman. You leave me not dead, but perpetually dying. I want my friends to heal me, succor me. Instead, I get analysis. Conflagrations that would make stones drip blood are campfires compared to my anguish. Two-headed, inescapable anguish. love's anguish, or the anguish of time. Another dark, severing, incommunicable night. Death would be fine if I only died once. I would have liked a solitary death. Not this lavish funeral, this grave anyone can visit. You are mystical, Galib, and also you speak beautifully. Are you a saint? Or just drunk, as usual?
And with our final student recitation of the day, Nasha Martinez.
From the Sky by Sarah Abu Rashid. After Lorca. When I die, bury me in the sky. No one is fighting over it. Children are playing soccer with empty bombshells. From the sky, I can see them. A grandmother is baking her Eid Makruta and Mamul. From the sky, I can taste them. Teens are writing love letters under an orange tree. From the sky, I can read them. Soldiers are cocking new rifles at the checkpoint. From the sky, I can hear them. Under fire, death and water are brewing in the kitchen. From the sky, I can smell them. When I die, bury me in the sky. I said, for now it is quiet. No one owns it, and no one is claiming to. Thank you.
We've now reached the end of round 3. Once again, our amazing ArtsWA staff will be checking, double checking, triple checking all of the numbers, and we will soon be ready to announce the 2025 Washington State Poetry Out Loud champion. But while they are doing that, We have more student achievements to celebrate, so please welcome back to the stage Arts and Education Project Manager Alexis Sarah.
So this year, 8 students submitted original works to our Poetry Forward competition. And a panel of 3 judges reviewed these entries and chose poems that we are about to recognize. You can read more about the Poetry Forward, formerly known as Poetry Ourselves, program on page 14 of your program. All poems that were submitted this year will be featured as the newest chapter of our online anthology of student poetry, which will also feature student poems from 2024 and 2023. So look at our webpage, www.arts.wa.gov/poetry-out-loud. A web address. So it's my honor to announce this year's Poetry Forward honorable mentions. We will be acknowledging 2 poems. One of our judges said of the first honorable mention, quote, "I appreciated the affecting use of traditional rhyming while maintaining the author's essential freshness in their voice. Congratulations to Luis Mata of River Ridge High School for his poem, America's Lost." Come on up, please. Of our next honorable mention, our judges said, quote, "Great tone throughout the poem. Title serves the poem, and it's very hard to write a searing didactic poem, a work aimed at teaching and criticizing, that doesn't become clumsy, and yet this poem accomplishes this difficult task. A bit of Langston Hughes and Whitman lingering behind this poem, and some of the harsh lines of Ginsberg. Well done." Congratulations to Elizabeth McAleer of Valentine High School. And we sing America. So the audio for both of these poems will be available on the ArtsWA website in the next week. So you can hear these outstanding poems read by their authors. And finally, this year's winning poem, the judges said, "Perhaps there is no subject more difficult to write about than home. From Robert Hayden's Those Winter Sundays to Sharon Old's Many Cries of the Heart about a troubled home. This poem fits in those works, and the themes of identity, family, and the tension between what we inherit and what we create ourselves is both mature and hopeful. The phrase, seeds of reason, will stay with me," said one of the judges. Let's listen to this year's first place poem.
Home by Sidra Marshall is a place in my mind that is yet to occur. Never been seen, fragments found in memory, and a mason jar full of dreams, dreams dreamed up by dreamers, where hand in hand all can stand, where all are understanding, though not everyone understood. In pursuit of home, I'll speak my tongue instead of listen to it. No longer the observer in my ancestors' narrative. No more what ifs, no matter how off tempo my melody carries a meaning only those who listen understand. Without what ifs or forget-me-nots, I'll know I'm home when blood is yours, no matter the pigment, the shape of one's nose, or the curve and sound of our lips. Never to this, never to that. You are enough. You are enough. Never denied an identity that's more than blood, and instead the life we create from what we're given. The harmony of my name weaves my memories into a single thread that ends up right back to me. A reminder of my humanity, an entity of time from the beginning of you, love, friends, family, home, all of it back to me. And for my children's children, I wish just the same, for the morrow to bring forth much needed change, for ideas to sprout, flourish in a rising sun bright, brought forth by seeds of reason. Never conquered, never forgotten, home, where hope resides in a greater light, harmonious and tranquil. You won't be forgotten. A life that is passed on cannot be stolen when remembered. No one will be forgotten.
Our thanks to all the beautiful voices who participated in Poetry Forward this year. We hear you and you inspire us. One more round of applause for this year. A little more talking. Thank you. Thank you. So before we announce this year's Poetry Out Loud State Champion, we need to acknowledge many individuals and organizations that help make this program possible, and who supported all of our students across the state and all of our regional champions on their path here today. Last year, this took over 750 words to express our thanks. It would shorten that. So our gratitude knows no bounds. If you did not see the names and acknowledgments in our slideshow, you can find the names and the various roles that folks played in this grand thing called Washington Poetry Out Loud in your programs. And those are on pages 11 through 13 and 15, 4 whole pages. So we really want to thank teachers and principals and Carolyn Gilman, who's our teacher liaison, who has also attended today, our regional partners, our ArtsWA staff, everyone at Tacoma Little Theatre, our judges here today, thank you so much. The Poetry Forward judges for supporting this still very new project. And the wonderful people making sure that there's magic today for our students and not just competition. So our photographer Pavel, Green Candy, Greg Feingold, our musicians, and of course, MC Asha Brooks. We know this is a long day, so thank you families and friends. We know making the journey here to Tacoma can be statewide. Some of you came from all the way on the east side of the state, so thank you for supporting and sharing this moment and these outstanding students and supporting them in every way that you do. One just great big huge round of applause for everybody. That was about 200 words less than last year. So now it's time to end the suspense. Finalists, will you please join us on stage for 3 seconds? Yes, they will be
applauding our finalists and shaking their hands in congratulations. In the coming weeks, each of these students will receive a personalized letterpress print designed by the students at Bright 253, that's where I work. And of course, today's champion will be representing Washington State at the National Poetry Out Loud Finals in Washington, D.C. Are we ready? Okay, here we go. The honorable mention goes to
Elizabeth McAleer from Southwest. The runner-up is Nasha Martinez from POL.
And that means our 2025 Washington State Poetry Out Loud champion is
Sydney Frost.
Congratulations, Sydney. Be sure to check in with Judy before you leave today, as she has some important info for you. We invite you to cheer on the Washington State champion as she competes in the 2025 Poetry Out Loud National Finals, May 5th through 7th in Washington, D.C. It will be streamed on the National Endowment of the Arts website at arts.wa. Hopefully, yes. There will be information about how to get to that webcast on the ArtsWA website and the National Poetry Out Loud website as well. Before we say goodnight, we'd like to invite all of our students back on the stage for a Q&A. Thank you.
You can thank the love of This is a pretty informal Q&A. We'll have the kids, if you want to also be in the line, your lineup would be helpful. And you're all welcome to take photographs if you'd like. This is full time, right? Yeah. So we're just gonna, I know it's been a long day, so I want to keep it fast, but I want to keep it fun. What I would love to hear from each of you, say your name, and let us know what grade you're in. I think that's interesting to know a little bit. And mention a couple other things activities you might do outside of poetry, reading, and writing. Okay? Anything outside of that, okay? Name, grade, other things you do. And then pass the mic to the next person.
I'm Luella Griffith. I'm a freshman, and I like hanging out with my friends and drawing.
My name is Shay Dooley. I'm a sophomore, and I like to do theater, choir, and read fictional stories.
I'm Sydney Frost. I'm a senior, and I do ballet and I write books.
I'm Isabella Jennings. I'm in 10th grade, and I enjoy a little bit of theater and reading. I'm Elizabeth McAleer. I'm a senior, and I'm kind of a big speech and debate kid. That's the thing.
I'm Nasha Martinez, and I would say, oh wait, yeah, great. I'm a senior, and that you can tell by how long that took me to think of. And one thing I do outside poetry is I work at Oak Table, so if you guys are ever in the Silverdale area, stop by. And I also write books.
My name's Brianna Smith. I'm a sophomore, and I like to play volleyball, tennis, and choir. That's the other thing I do. Yeah.
I'm Orlo Parkinson. I'm a sophomore, and I like to run and also do stuff with theater.
I'm Thomas Lorino. I'm a freshman. I play soccer and chess and run cross country.
I'm Luis Mata. I'm a sophomore, and I'm sorry, like most of my favorite interests are in literature, so I'm a big reader.
My name's Sidra Marshall. I'm a sophomore. I do theater, band, and choir, and I just really like art. Yes.
final and fun question. I'm just keeping it early on, so poetry subject. It's been a lot. What's your superpower?
Empathy.
My thoughts. Wow, I'm really blanking. Let's say sports.
I can teleport.
I'd say my perseverance.
Improvising.
I am a twin, so twin telepathy. I guess I'm double jointed.
I'd say my kindness and creativity.
Be loud.
I'm pretty creative too.
All right, I think that concludes our 2025 Washington State Poetry Out Loud Final Competition. It has been such a pleasure to present this program with these amazing, amazing students. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please travel safe. Don't forget to turn your clocks forward and have a terrific rest of your weekend. And read some poetry. Good night, everyone.